Do you ever feel like someone's controlling your actions without you even realizing it? Manipulation isn't always loud. It's subtle, strategic, and it chips away at your mind bit by bit. But what if I told you that you could reclaim control with ancient wisdom that stood the test of time? Welcome to this deep dive into how to stop being manipulated using Stoic principles rooted in the teachings of Marcus Aurelius. By the end of this video, you'll not only recognize manipulation when it strikes, but also wield the tools to break free and set powerful boundaries. Imagine a scenario where you're at a family gathering. A relative casually asks you for a favor, and although you hesitate, they add, "You'd do this for me, right? After all, I've always been there for you." Instantly, a wave of guilt washes over you, and before you realize it, you're agreeing, even though every part of you wishes to say no. This is how manipulation silently seeps into our lives, disguised as innocent persuasion, but wielded with precision to bend your will. Marcus Aurelius would advise observing such situations with detachment, a practice that helps you understand the dynamics at play without emotional entanglement. Ask yourself, am I making this decision because it aligns with my values, or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? Recognizing this inner conflict is a critical first step. So if you've ever found yourself in this position, you're not alone. Drop a comment below if this resonates with you, and let's tackle this together. Now, you might be wondering, if I can see manipulation happening, how do I actually stop it? Solution. The answer lies in identifying specific manipulation tactics, whether they're guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or subtle emotional nudges. Reflect on past experiences where you felt cornered or coerced. What words were used? Which emotions did they trigger in you? Awareness is your starting point. It's not about blaming others or becoming hypervigilant. It's about becoming aware of the patterns that pull you into manipulation. This step alone will set you on the path to reclaiming control over your decisions. Understanding the psychology behind manipulation is essential. Why do manipulators succeed? They tap into your vulnerabilities, whether it's your need for approval, fear of conflict, or deep-seated insecurities. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." This applies perfectly to living under the shadow of manipulation. It holds you back from your true self. Think about the moments you've doubted yourself, asking, how can I take control over my mind when manipulation is so deeply embedded in my interactions? This question is key because it acknowledges the difficulty in breaking free from manipulative patterns. Here's what to do. Mindfulness is a powerful tool. Practice becoming an observer of your emotions when you're in conversation or negotiation. When someone's words make your pulse quicken or fill you with sudden anxiety, pause. Take a deep breath, count to 5, and engage your rational mind. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now, and why? Marcus Aurelius taught that our thoughts, not external circumstances, create our reality. By pausing and analyzing your emotions, you reclaim that reality. You may be wondering now, but what if the manipulator is someone I care about deeply, like a close friend or partner? This is where empathy and stoic detachment come into play. You don't need to respond with coldness, but with measured detachment that allows you to address the issue without being swept away by emotional currents. A simple but powerful phrase you can use is, "I hear you, and I need a moment to think." This puts you back in the driver's seat. Creating strong boundaries is not just a self-protective measure. It's a declaration of your worth. Marcus Aurelius held that true power lies in understanding and acting according to one's own nature. Boundaries help define where you end and another person begins. They're not barriers, but guidelines for respectful interaction. Reflect on this. When was the last time you set a clear boundary and held firm to it? If it was hard, you're not alone. Many people find setting boundaries daunting, especially when manipulators are skilled at guilt-tripping or using emotional leverage to sway you. You may be wondering, what if they make me feel guilty for saying no? How do I handle that? Here's your approach. Use clear, assertive I statements like, "I need time to consider this," or "I'm not comfortable with that right now." Be consistent. Marcus Aurelius believed that consistency is a virtue that fortifies your inner peace. Even if someone challenges your boundary, your unwavering stance will teach them to respect it. And yes, they might push back initially. That's normal. The key is not to engage in their emotional bait. Stand firm and don't waver. Trusting your gut is crucial, yet so many people overlook this innate guidance system. Have you ever felt that subtle tug in your stomach telling you something was off, but ignored it? Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of inner reasoning and reflection, writing, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Trusting your gut is about aligning your actions with the uncolored, unbiased part of your reasoning. You may be wondering, how do I know when to trust my gut and when I'm just overthinking? The answer is practice. The more you listen to that small voice and act on it, the sharper it becomes. Next time you feel a wave of discomfort or doubt, pause. Don't brush it off as irrational. Instead, reflect. Why am I feeling this? It's usually an alert signaling you that something isn't adding up. Train yourself to pause and examine this feeling, and it will guide you away from potential traps. Recognizing manipulation is easier when you can pinpoint its signs. Manipulation isn't always dramatic. It's in the small nudges, the "I can't believe you would do this" remarks, the subtle shifts in tone. Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." Use that inner strength to identify when someone's motives don't align with what they're saying. Now, what if you spot manipulation, but aren't sure how to respond? Here's what to do next. When you identify manipulation, your immediate reaction might be confusion or frustration. This is normal. The challenge is to respond calmly and not let emotions hijack your reaction. Marcus Aurelius believed that true strength comes from responding with reason rather than reacting impulsively. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is where you shift from recognizing manipulation to skillfully responding to it. You might be thinking, how can I respond calmly when I feel overwhelmed or attacked? The answer lies in preparing a set of neutral, assertive responses that you can lean on when needed. Phrases like, "I need a moment to process this," or "Let me get back to you on that," give you the space to gather your thoughts and avoid knee-jerk reactions. This approach keeps you in control and prevents manipulators from pushing you into decisions made out of pressure or discomfort. Now imagine this scenario. You're in a meeting and a colleague subtly undermines your ideas, making it seem like they're doing it out of concern or expertise. Your instinct might be to argue or withdraw, but what would Marcus Aurelius do? He would observe, acknowledge the emotions, and respond only after careful thought. So, take a deep breath, maintain eye contact and say, "Thank you for your feedback. Let's revisit this after some consideration. This puts you back in command of the narrative. Protecting yourself from manipulation requires more than recognition. It requires consistent action. Picture yourself as a fortress. Your mind is the stronghold, and your actions are the walls that guard it. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that maintaining integrity means acting in alignment with your values, even when it's uncomfortable. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This statement tells us that real strength lies in embodying your principles, not just speaking about them. Now you might ask, but what if protecting myself distances me from others or makes me seem cold? Here's how to approach it. Setting and defending your boundaries doesn't mean alienating people. It means teaching them how to interact with you respectfully. If someone repeatedly crosses the line, address it directly, but with empathy. You could say, "I value our relationship, but I need you to respect my decisions." It's not confrontational, it's clear communication. Remember, Marcus Aurelius believed in facing challenges with rational thought and inner calm. The people who truly care for you will respect your stance, and those who don't will reveal their true nature. Responding to manipulation doesn't have to mean engaging in a battle of wits. The goal isn't to win an argument, but to protect your peace. Marcus Aurelius taught, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This means responding with integrity, not stooping to the level of the manipulator. When faced with a situation where someone tries to provoke you or twist your words, remind yourself that your power lies in choosing how to react. You might be thinking, what if staying calm makes me look weak? The reality is that calmness in the face of manipulation signals strength, not weakness. When you react without losing your cool, you communicate that you're in control of the situation. Try saying, "I see your perspective, but I need more time to think this through." This response signals that you're not easily swayed or pressured. A real-life example could be when someone uses emotional outbursts to get their way. Instead of matching their energy, practice a technique called reflective listening. Acknowledge their feelings without conceding your position. "I understand that this is important to you, and I respect that. Here's what I need in return." This keeps the conversation balanced and shows that you're not ignoring their concerns, but maintaining your boundaries. Setting consequences is a powerful, often overlooked aspect of protecting yourself. Boundaries mean little without follow-through. Marcus Aurelius's life was full of decisions that required him to act, not just philosophize. He would say, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." In your context, this means your value lies in how you uphold your boundaries and follow through on the consequences you set. You may wonder, what should I do if someone repeatedly ignores my boundaries? Here's a practical approach. Be clear about what the consequence will be if your boundary is crossed again. For instance, if a friend keeps pressuring you into commitments you're not comfortable with, you might say, "If this continues, I'll need to take a step back from our conversations." This isn't about being punitive. It's about safeguarding your mental and emotional health. Marcus Aurelius believed that action aligned with one's core values is the path to peace. Imagine a scenario where someone consistently tests your boundaries. Maybe it's a colleague who oversteps, or a family member who dismisses your needs. When you set a consequence and follow through, you're not just protecting yourself, you're teaching others how to treat you. There may come a time when, despite your efforts, you realize that the only solution is to distance yourself from the manipulator. This can be painful, especially if the person is close to you. Marcus Aurelius would remind us, "Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person." This Stoic lesson emphasizes acting with clarity and intent, even when it means making hard choices. Now you might ask, how do I walk away without feeling guilty? Here's what you need to understand. Removing yourself from a harmful relationship isn't an act of abandonment. It's an act of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius believed that letting go of what you cannot change is essential for peace of mind. If you've tried setting boundaries, communicating openly, and maintaining integrity but manipulation persists, walking away is your final line of defense. It's a choice that prioritizes your well-being over the fear of being misunderstood. Imagine telling someone, "I value myself too much to continue in this dynamic." It might feel harsh, but it's honest and aligns with the Stoic belief that we must act in harmony with our true selves. This act, difficult as it may be, can be the turning point that leads to real freedom. Recognizing your own behavior is equally important. Have you ever stopped to consider if you might be using subtle manipulation yourself? It's not always easy to acknowledge, but Marcus Aurelius believed that true wisdom begins with self-examination. He once said, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig." You might wonder, why should I reflect on my own actions when I'm the one being manipulated? The answer is that understanding your tendencies helps you break the cycle. Manipulation is often learned behavior, passed down unconsciously. Reflecting on your actions can help you spot moments where you may be leaning into coercion rather than open communication. If you catch yourself guilt-tripping a loved one or using emotional leverage, pause and ask, am I acting out of fear or genuine intent? Changing your behavior isn't about perfection, it's about growth. As you practice being more aware, you'll notice that relationships built on honesty and mutual respect become stronger. This shift will also make it easier to identify when others aren't being genuine, reinforcing your defenses against manipulation. Building healthier relationships starts with protecting your own integrity. Manipulation thrives where boundaries are weak and self-awareness is lacking. By applying Stoic principles, you cultivate resilience, clarity, and unwavering inner peace. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that true strength lies in consistency, saying, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." To the viewers out there, if any of this resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share your story below. Tell me which of these strategies you'll try first. And remember, you have the power to take control, protect your mind, and live a life free from manipulation. Marcus Aurelius's teachings on resilience show us that the journey doesn't end at just identifying manipulation or setting boundaries. It extends to building relationships that are genuine and nurturing. A person's worth is measured by the worth of what he values, Marcus said. In other words, the relationships we invest in should be those that align with our values and contribute positively to our well-being. You might be thinking, how do I move forward after cutting off a manipulative person? Won't it leave a void? Here's where building stronger, healthier connections comes into play. After distancing yourself from manipulation, use that space to cultivate relationships that uplift you. Reach out to those who support your growth and encourage your independence. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to be your best self, not for their gain, but out of genuine care. A practical step to consider: identify your support system. This doesn't have to be a large group. Even one or two people who understand and respect you can make a difference. Take time to invest in these relationships by being open, honest, and supportive yourself. Marcus Aurelius believed in the strength that comes from unity, stating, "What is bad for the hive is bad for the bee." This reinforces the idea that when your relationships thrive, you do too. Self-reflection is a recurring theme in Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius was known for his relentless pursuit of personal growth, constantly examining his thoughts and actions to align them with virtue. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it, he advised. This statement is a reminder that protecting yourself from manipulation starts from within. You might be wondering, how does self-reflection help me avoid being manipulated? Here's why it matters. Manipulators often prey on those who are unsure of themselves. When you know who you are and what you stand for, it becomes harder for others to sway you with their tactics. Reflect on your experiences, decisions, and how you respond to pressure. This practice builds your mental fortitude and makes you less susceptible to emotional manipulation. Try this. Keep a journal where you document situations that make you feel manipulated or pressured. Write down how you felt, what you did, and what you wish you'd done differently. Over time, you'll notice patterns that help you refine your responses and bolster your self-awareness. Let's dive deeper into recognizing the subtle signs of manipulation. While some forms are overt, such as shouting or demanding, others are more covert. Have you ever heard statements like, "If you really cared, you would do this for me," or "I thought you were better than that"? These are manipulative tactics designed to shift your focus from the logic of the situation to emotional pressure. Marcus Aurelius believed in staying true to one's reasoned principles, regardless of external influences. "Do not be turned aside by any external impulse," he wrote. This is where your strength lies, the ability to identify and resist these subtle nudges. You might be asking, how do I recognize these signs without becoming overly suspicious of everyone? The answer is balance. Pay attention to how people make you feel. If someone's words leave you feeling anxious, guilty, or doubtful without a clear reason, take a step back and assess why. Trusting your instincts doesn't mean you assume the worst. It means you remain aware. If these feelings persist around certain people, it's a sign that manipulation may be at play. To strengthen this skill, practice observing interactions with a neutral lens. Instead of reacting immediately, make it a habit to pause, reflect, and then respond. This will help you separate genuine conversations from manipulative ones. Understanding how manipulation works gives you the upper hand in resisting it. Manipulators often use mirroring, copying your actions and mannerisms to create a false sense of connection. They may also feign vulnerability to disarm you or play on your empathy to get their way. Marcus Aurelius spoke about guarding one's mind, saying, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you allow manipulative tactics to shape your perception, you risk internalizing them. Now you might wonder, how do I keep my guard up without closing myself off completely? The key is discernment. Learn to identify when someone's vulnerability is genuine and when it's a tactic. Genuine vulnerability seeks mutual understanding. Manipulative vulnerability seeks an advantage. Ask yourself, is this person sharing to build trust, or are they sharing to shift the power dynamic? Practicing this form of questioning helps you see beyond surface-level interactions and maintain control over your reactions. A practical application. When you notice someone mirroring you or acting overly agreeable, test the authenticity of the interaction by gently challenging their position or suggesting an alternative perspective. Manipulators often falter when they can't maintain their facade. Protecting yourself from manipulation also means being aware of your vulnerabilities. It's not a sign of weakness to acknowledge them. In fact, it's one of your greatest strengths. Marcus Aurelius believed that acknowledging what we cannot control and focusing on what we can is the essence of Stoic practice. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You might think, but if I know my vulnerabilities, won't that make me feel exposed? On the contrary, understanding your weaknesses allows you to protect them better. For example, if you know that you have a tendency to seek validation, be extra cautious when someone flatters you excessively. This awareness acts as a safeguard, enabling you to respond with logic rather than emotion. Try this exercise. Make a list of traits you feel are your strengths and weaknesses. Then, reflect on how they have influenced past interactions. This practice will help you see where you're most susceptible to manipulation and how to counteract it. To truly stop being manipulated, you need to learn how to respond, not react. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" This reinforces the idea that an immediate, emotional reaction often leads to regret. Responding thoughtfully is the hallmark of a resilient, stoic mind. You might be wondering, what's the difference between responding and reacting? Here's the distinction. A reaction is immediate and often fueled by emotion, while a response is measured and considers the long-term outcome. To practice responding, start by incorporating a pause before you speak. This pause, even if just a few seconds, allows your rational mind to catch up with your emotional one. Next time you feel manipulated, take a deep breath and consider your options. Choose your words with care, aiming to address the issue without escalating it. Marcus Aurelius would advise, "Let no act be done without a purpose." Let your response serve the purpose of maintaining your peace and reinforcing your boundaries. Setting boundaries and following through with consequences can feel daunting, but it's a crucial part of self-protection. Boundaries without enforcement are just words. Marcus Aurelius acted on his beliefs, embodying the principle that action must align with values. You might ask, what if setting consequences makes things worse? Here's the perspective to adopt. While setting consequences might initially cause discomfort, it ultimately fosters respect. If someone disregards your boundaries and faces no repercussions, they'll continue their behavior unchecked. By enforcing consequences, like limiting interaction or taking time away, you reinforce your commitment to your well-being. Visualize this scenario. You've told a friend you can't lend them money, but they persist. You respond calmly, "I value our friendship, but if this continues, I'll need to take a step back from our conversations for a while." It's uncomfortable, but it sets a precedent. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. With all these strategies, remember that your ultimate goal is to live a life free from manipulation, anchored in self-awareness and strength. Marcus Aurelius taught that true freedom comes not from external validation, but from inner resilience. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If you've reached this point in the video, I want to thank you for investing in your mental and emotional well-being. Share in the comments which strategy resonated with you most and what steps you'll take to build stronger defenses against manipulation. Remember, you have the tools to own your mind, uphold your peace, and live authentically. Let's delve into how to build resilience against manipulation. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of inner fortitude, saying, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To build resilience, you must train your mind to remain steady, even when others try to shake your resolve. You might be asking, how do I build resilience without becoming hardened or detached? The answer lies in balance. Embrace practices that strengthen your mind, such as meditation and journaling, while remaining open to positive connections. Start each day with a stoic exercise. Visualize possible challenges you may face and plan how you will respond. This practice, known as premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, prepares you mentally and reduces the shock when challenges actually occur. Practical step. If you anticipate a conversation where manipulation might surface, practice your response ahead of time. Picture yourself responding with composure, saying, "I understand where you're coming from, but I need more time to think this over." The more you practice, the more naturally resilience will come to you. Next, let's talk about why building a support system is crucial. Marcus Aurelius wasn't alone in his philosophical pursuits. He was surrounded by teachers and peers who grounded him. Your support system is your fortress during challenging times. You might think, but how do I find people who truly support me and don't manipulate me? Here's how. Start by identifying those in your life who listen without judgment, encourage your growth, and respect your boundaries. These are your allies. Reach out and invest time in these relationships. Let them know you appreciate them and want to foster a deeper connection. This foundation will provide emotional support and remind you that you're not alone when you face manipulation. Try this. Make a list of people who genuinely lift you up and another list of those who drain or manipulate you. Reflect on how you can spend more time with the first group and set clearer boundaries with the second. Marcus Aurelius knew that community matters, writing, "What is not good for the bee is not good for the hive." This highlights the importance of surrounding yourself with people who contribute positively to your well-being. Recognizing your own role in potentially manipulative dynamics can be humbling but transformative. Marcus Aurelius believed in rigorous self-examination, stating, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Acknowledging your tendencies to influence others subtly, even if unintentionally, opens the path to healthier interactions. You might ask, why should I worry about my own behavior when I'm trying to stop being manipulated? Here's why. By recognizing your own actions, you break the cycle of manipulation from both sides. This practice encourages honesty and transparency, leading to deeper, more authentic relationships. Reflect on past instances where you might have used persuasion or emotional cues to sway someone's decision. Ask yourself, was I being fair? Was I trying to control the outcome? A helpful approach. Commit to open communication. If you catch yourself slipping into old patterns, pause and correct yourself. For example, instead of saying, "If you really cared, you'd do this for me," try, "I value your input and hope you'll consider my perspective." This shift makes a world of difference and encourages mutual respect. Understanding that manipulation can come from within as much as from others is crucial. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." The act of recognizing your own patterns helps you stay vigilant and grow. You might wonder, how do I ensure I'm not being unknowingly manipulative? Start with self-awareness. When interacting with others, Monitor your motivations. Are you sharing your true feelings, or are you saying what you think will get you the reaction you want? Practicing honest communication helps prevent unintentional manipulation. It also sets the tone for how you wish to be treated. Exercise to try. After conversations, take a moment to reflect. Did you speak from a place of integrity, or were you subtly trying to control the narrative? This practice, while challenging, brings you closer to embodying the values Marcus Aurelius held dear. Now, let's move into building healthier relationships overall. Once you've recognized manipulation, set boundaries, and built a strong support system, the final step is cultivating relationships that thrive on mutual respect and trust. Marcus Aurelius believed in nurturing bonds that align with one's virtues, advising, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." This balance helps you create an environment where manipulation can't survive. You might be thinking, what does a healthy relationship look like in practice? Here's what to focus on. Communication should be open, with both parties feeling heard and valued. Look for signs of mutual growth, relationships where you both encourage each other's well-being without hidden agendas. This doesn't mean avoiding conflict, but addressing it with fairness and seeking understanding over control. Challenge yourself. The next time you engage in a disagreement, focus on listening fully before responding. Approach the conversation with curiosity rather than defensiveness. Marcus Aurelius would remind you that disagreements are opportunities to learn, saying, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." To summarize, protecting yourself from manipulation involves a multi-layered approach rooted in self-awareness, boundary setting, resilience, and nurturing positive relationships. It's not just about avoiding manipulation, but fostering a life where genuine, respectful interactions flourish. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom teaches that true freedom comes from knowing yourself and living in alignment with your highest values. You might be reflecting now, what should I do next to put these lessons into action? Take this first step. Identify one strategy that resonated with you most today and commit to practicing it. Whether it's setting clearer boundaries, trusting your gut, or building a stronger support system, small steps lead to big changes. And remember, Stoicism isn't just about enduring life's challenges. It's about thriving through them with courage and wisdom. If you found value in these strategies and want to continue building a life free from manipulation, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more content on Stoicism, resilience, and self-mastery. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Let's create a community where we lift each other up and grow stronger together. And as Marcus Aurelius would say, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So choose thoughts that empower and protect you.